views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, welcome. OMG. You'd think after 13 years doing this, Benny, that I would know how to dial a phone, right?
Sometimes things happen, beyond our control.
Beyond our control. I don't know. I was trying to get my very special guest today, and I know we're going to get him because he's been waiting. Matthew Campling has been waiting. He's over in the UK. And, we're talking about the 12 type. Now, Benny, you should know how to say this. Is it Enneagram? Is it Enneagram? Is it none of the above?
I'm going to go with Enneagram.
I'm going to go with Enneagram, too. Okay. And so my friend would say, it's not Ennea. It's not that either, Pat. It's Enya. I said, no, that is a singer. Enya is a singer. Enya. Well, what a great show. I know we're going to get Matthew. He's been so wanting to connect with all of us out there. So Linda and John, or our friend John at Watkins Media, they are like, OMG, Pat, come on, DRP, what up with you can't dial? And to Benny, it's so funny because they said, just type the number the way it is. I even called Benny and I said, Benny, read me the number. Read.
Like I said, sometimes it happens. I can't explain things.
Oh,
not
my
everything.
Gosh. Oh,
I wish I could.
Gosh. Oh, it's like Jessica's like, I'm going to try to call him. Yeah, well, don't worry, Jessica. If you don't get us right away, we can go to break. But let's talk about him. Let's talk about our guest, Benny, even though he's not here if we could. What I love is I get to meet a bunch of people that I never thought in a million years I would meet. Never did. I mean, I wake up some days and I feel so blessed. Now, I will tell you, I was not feeling blessed yesterday. After watching what happened to, I must tell you, I am divided. What happened to both the Giants and the Seahawks? I was just like, I don't know. It was a good game, Benny. What did you think? Or you didn't watch it?
It seems to be the traditional way of how we play, a little slow, and then our defense steps up and carries us, and then we expect our offense to kind of click into a couple other gears, and it usually and it hasn't been. So we're a little frustrated. Now we're 4-5, but we're still number 2 in our division. Which
is that for true? Do we still have a chance of whatever?
We still have a chance at the playoffs, yes, because St. Louis is tied with us with 4-5. Of course, Arizona is at 7-2, 7-3, or something like that. So they're
we'll
in
catch
front.
Them.
Okay. Most likely no, but it's okay. We still have a possibility. It's just still frustrating because we're supposed to have this giant record and leading with a powerhouse, but you never know. I mean, the Seahawks camp, they probably know what they're doing over there.
Well, I got to tell you, you could tell by the look on the Pete Carroll face there with the chewing gum. He's my man. He and I have that in common. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We can chew a wad of gum like it is nobody's business. I'm just saying. Now, I don't know how many pieces of gum he puts in that little face of his, but I'm telling you, I can stick a few in mine. I was the queen of the bazooka bubble gum.
Yeah, I don't know. He puts the hammer down on the gum there, so I'm sure he's got some sponsor working for him.
Yeah, I will say, though, I admire his gum chewing, and I'll tell you why. Do you know how difficult it is to do the gum chewing without showing everybody all that gum you got going on in there and, all of that, and not be spitting that thing out at people?
I did see him toss it when he was done near the end of the game, by the way, which was kind of like, we all kind of laughed and chuckled because the camera was on him at the time. He straight up took it out of his mouth and tossed it. We're like, oh, he's done with that piece.
Yeah. And, I'm going to write him a letter and say, dude, environmentally, that was not the thing to do.
I'm sure one of his staff collected it and threw it away properly.
Okay. So we could go into a whole conversation about
I'm sure he's got some gum
collectors.
Yeah, he's got some gum collectors there, I'm sure.
Look, here's the question. And I love that we're talking about this because we're going to talk about this 12 type Enneagram. Hey, any of you out there know how to say it? Give us a call, 1-800-930-2819. I'm going to give you a copy of the book. I know what it is, but yeah, I have to tell you, pronunciation has never been my strong suit. Benny will tell you that because I don't see words. I see pictures. That's my little gift that I was given. I was given the little gift of not being able to read like the rest of you. Really worked out well, I will tell you, Benny, when I went into graduate school, because that was all about drawing boxes and creating concepts. So that worked for me. But putting a sentence together, that's something different. Today, here it is. Why others are different from you. Now, why is it that Benny and I are different? Why is that? And then how do we know the right path for us to take, whether it's a specific spiritual or psychological path based on our development? And then what information do we need to recognize the essence or the essential people that are in our lives? So everything from how we set our goals and discover a true purpose, can it be shown to us in this unique system? This is one of the most extraordinary books that has come across my desk in a really long time. It's the kind of thing that you get and you start to read it. And I'm sure for Matthew, it's probably taken decades to put this together. But when we're looking at this, and I'm reading the Friends and Friendship section of the book, and, it's like, how do we look at a lunar type, a Venus type, a Mercury type, a Saturn type, a Mars type, and a Jupiter type? Now, I'm born under the planet of Jupiter, so I don't even know if that plays any sense at all in this stuff. But I'll tell you this book has got some of the most amazing tidbits of information, and I'm reading this, and I'm thinking, OMG, that is so me.
And let me interrupt there, Pat. We've actually got a listener who's called in who has her answer for a free book about our little question. So, Shannon, you're obviously on the road. Thanks for joining us on the show. You're live on the air. What is your answer to Dr. Pat's question?
Yes.
Well, I've heard it called Enneagram every time, Enneagram. So you're saying it just like I've always heard it.
Nice. We're going to give you a copy of the book.
Awesome. I just took the test last week.
You
Perfect.
did what?
She took the test last week.
You took the test last
The Enneagram test.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. My gosh. So tell me what you know about it.
Well, I want to learn more about it, but it seems pretty spot on for my personality.
Wow. Does your personality baffle you like my personality baffles me?
Yes and no.
Oh my gosh. It's really funny when we look at things, because I know that I don't see myself the way other people see me. And when you talk to folks that, hang out with you a little bit or get to know you a little bit, and all of you have kind of heard me now for 13 years. And so you probably know more about me than I know about myself. But I'm always amazed when I read a book like this, where I'm saying, oh my gosh, that is me. Oh my gosh, it is me. So here's a little personality thing I'll share with you. And I know you're driving, so I'll let you go. So here I am, right? We started the month of November. And from the very beginning of November, I thought it would be time to go get all the holiday stuff out, right? Get the holiday stuff out. Now, why is that? We're not even close to, it's ridiculous, right? And so I just thought go to get it out. But then everybody's like, nah, what are you getting out? It's too early. But then I listened to Warm, and Warm's got holiday music. So here's me. You would never know this about me, right? I get stuck on the most ridiculous things, but ask me to design a network with 10 channels and I'm there. But whether or not I should go get my holiday stuff out, I will lose sleep over that. What do you think of that? Are you still going to listen to the show?
Oh, yes. I think that you are number one on the Enneagram.
Uh-oh.
I do listen to you. We'll find out.
So is there hope for me?
Oh, yes, of course.
Well,
You're
don't
awesome.
hang up
You're
so
awesome.
Benny can get some information from you so we can get you a copy of the book. And then it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to think about what Matthew has to say. We're going to take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back with the show.
Preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit jenroyster.com for more information.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
A morning filled with dynamic, inspirational music, spirituality, and uplifting messages by TJ Woodward. Come and connect with community conversations and awaken your senses. Awakened Living Sundays with TJ Woodward. Join TJ every Sunday in the San Francisco Bay Area Chapel at Fort Mason and live streaming online 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time. To learn more and access the live stream, visit www.awakenedlivingsf.org. Do you want to transform your life's trauma and challenges into the gift that your life was meant to be? It's time for you to take control of your soul journey to heal, grow, and shine. Manifest your destiny with Wendy Wolf, soul transformer, energy, and psychic healer. To start your soul journey, contact Wendy at healgrowshine.com or email Wendy at wendy@wendyrwolf.com and start your adventure today.
Awaken to your radiant, authentic self. For over 15 years, soul purpose advocate Nancy Monson has been focused on leading change in the lives of those looking to live their true purpose. She is devoted to supporting people in living a soul-directed life every day. Let Nancy help you overcome fear, worry, and doubt. Visit everydayspirituality.com to learn how Nancy can be your soul purpose advocate.
The Doctor is in. Tune in to the hit show, The Psychic Love Doctor, with host Deborah Lee. Deborah's life-affirming, highly perceptive reading method has taught Deborah how to zero in on specific problems with relationships, career pursuits, and current roadblocks to success and happiness. Join Deborah Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, and for a special broadcast the second Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Wow. Good job, Jessica. Good job, Benny. We've got Matthew Campling joining us here today. And what an incredible conversation. The 12-type Enneagram, know your type, improve your life. Boom. That's what I love. Know your type, improve your life. Matthew, thank you. I've talked about you a little bit, but I just want to say thank you for joining me here today. Wow.
Well, thank you it's lovely to be speaking to you this evening. Well, for me, it's this evening. I think
yes.
For you, it's the middle of the day.
Yes, it's morning, actually. But, I want to ask you about this. I mean, you've been in private therapy practice for over 20 years, right? And you've done workshops around the country, and, you know, we're talking to you, you're in the UK now, but how did you get connected with the Enneagram? And then tell us about how unique this is, this unique system.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
A little bit of background.
Yeah.
I'm obviously English, but my parents took us out to South Africa when I was 8. So I unfortunately grew up under apartheid regime, and I was having an awful time. I hated growing up there. And in my sort of, when I was about 27, I was surviving. I mean, I was working, but I was really not together at all. And by a wonderful series of connections, I finished up studying somewhere in the United States in a very small school of esoteric knowledge, and it's my teacher who's the person who teaches the 12-type Enneagram. And, you know, here I am as living proof, because I was really all over the place, having grown up under apartheid. And what the Enneagram initially did for me is it explained where I was coming from and why other people worked differently in life. Because we can be aware, you know, how is it that one person we get on with very well, and somebody else, whatever we do to try and make something work, we seem to antagonize them, and it becomes a big mess. And by coming across the 12-type Enneagram, I learned, oh, right, okay, well, this is the kind of person I am. That's the kind of person they are. And so if I want to have a good relationship with them, I need to say to them things that are important to them rather than to me. Because each of the 12 essence types has a different way of understanding the world, has a different way of operating in the world.
You know, I was saying this, Benny and I were joking a little bit before you came on. You know, Benny and I have been together 13 years doing this. This is 13 years. I'm doing something that I got to tell you, Matthew, I never thought in a million years. I know that I did not do anything physically to be here today talking to you. I know that there is a higher order of something going on out there, higher power, whatever you want to call them. There's something going on that is enabling you and I to have this conversation today. But we talked back and forth about we have very different styles, and I never thought about it in terms of this 12 type or energy, so to speak. What's a connection?
Okay, so the actual Enneagram diagram, we don't know where it comes from.
Okay.
It has been around in the West since the 1940s, when it was brought back from the East by the wonderful spiritual teacher G.I. Gurdjieff. Now, at that point in the 1940s, various people took the diagram and made 9 types because it's got 9 points. Enneagram just means 9-sided diagram and 9-pointed diagram. So they decided, okay, well, it must be about personality types, and they made 9 personality types. But in fact, on page 286 of a book called In Search of the Miraculous, the author notes that we should not have all of those types, all of those numbers as being types, only the sequence 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7. And the reason why that is, it's extraordinary. The reason why that is if you take 1, which symbolizes everything, and you divide it by 7, and 7 was the number of parts, so you have 7 days in a week, you get 0.142857. And so this delineates the progress of the various type energies. So that gives us 142857, gives us our main 6 types, but there are 12 types in the 12-type Enneagram. The other 6 types are that some people are just a main type, so they're a 1 or a 4, but some people are hybrids, and hybrids are people who have the equal influence of 2 consecutive types. So you have 1, 4, 4, 2, etc. And the fascinating thing is, first of all, it's quite easy to start to learn the characteristics of the different essence type energies. And once you do that, you can identify who, for example, is a 1. And a 1 is defined as the lunar type. The lunar type is the perpetually childlike adult, innocent, creative, eternally naive, somebody like Audrey Hepburn, for example. And then you drop down to 4, and that's the Venus type. The Venus type is defined as the languorous lover. These are the people who are quite slow in their operating. They're very emotional. They love talking about feelings. They love wearing lovely clothes and perfume. That's the women, not the men. And so they are the one-to-one emotional type. But we also have the Venus-Mercury type. The lunar Venus type. The lunar Venus type is defined as the sensuous childlike adult. And the sensuous childlike adult, if we think of somebody who kind of operates like a child but who's very definitely in the body of a woman, we think of somebody like Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can see the difference between somebody like Audrey Hepburn, who's kind of childlike like a bird, and somebody like Marilyn, who's a child but also a voluptuous woman. And then a good example of a Venus type is Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was always quintessentially a voluptuous, sensuous woman. So each of the essence types does have well-known people attached to the type, so that it's not because we want to get lost in personalities, it's because these people embody the various type essences. But one of the other fascinating points is that although we have 1 or 2, if we're a hybrid essence types, we do have parts of the other essence types inside us. So although we may be a 1, we will also be able to access 2 and 8 and 5. And before we come across the 12-type Enneagram, we've been doing this unconsciously all our lives. We've been bouncing around the Enneagram. But once we start to get rooted in the wisdom of the 12-type Enneagram, then we can start to use it consciously. And this is obviously very helpful because each of the essence energies has different characteristics.
Wow. Well, I have to tell you, we're going to take a short break. But before you came on, I was explaining a situation, and we had a fabulous listener call in. Hopefully she'll call in again. And I said, I'm learning about types. And I said, I'm not quite sure what my type is. And I said, I was explaining a situation, where earlier in the month, the beginning of the month, I was wanting to go get my holiday decorations. You know what I'm saying? I love the holiday, but I wanted to start I really wanted to start like Halloween, right? And then, I just kind of mentioned it, and somebody said, wow, it's like too early. Why do you want to do that? So I didn't go do it. And I keep going back and forth between, wow, I really want to do it. Well, no, don't do it. Well, I really want to do it. And she said, and I said, but I don't know what type I am. And she said, she said, you're a type 1. Let's take a short break. Let's see what Matthew thinks.
I think that's a different interpretation.
Exactly.
Let's come back and talk about it.
Well, I have to tell you, I think it's kind of fun because I can't wait to hear. Stay tuned. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Great.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Shine On Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine On Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Almost everyone at some time in their lives ask themselves, what am I? Most of our questions are ego-generated and simply don't address the problem of our false self. It's time to relax your ego and embody your soul. Dr. Dan Cohen, neurologist, inventor, and author, has created tools to awaken a new way to transform from who you thought you were into what you truly are. Visit toolstoawaken.com today.
Have you been seeing numbers like 111 and 222 everywhere you go? Do you feel that the universe may be trying to get your attention, perhaps offering a message of some sort? As it turns out, numerical patterns and certain types of geometry form the very fabric of our reality, from cells under a microscope to the astronomy of our night sky. At Stellar Reflections, we offer special sessions which tap into these patterns, designed specifically to support you on your journey. The 111 and 222 activations are sessions activating new patterns in your energy field, which in turn can help you create new patterns in your life. After just one session with a practitioner, either in person or via distance, clients report gaining greater clarity, becoming more intuitive, and honoring their inner truth as they move forward in their lives. Curious about what these transformational sessions might do for you? Call 425-999-9836 or visit stellarreflections.com. That's stellarreflections.com.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I am so thrilled that Matthew Campling is joining us here today. And many of you, before he came on, I was telling you about the book. And I just want to make sure you know how to find out more about Matthew, how to get a copy of the book. Now, Matthew, I have a website, and I have 12egram.com, 12, the number 12egram.com. Is that
That's
the best?
Right, yes.
All right.
That's my website.
It's very full website.
If people can't find it, if they just Google my name, Matthew Campling, lots of stuff comes up and they'll be able to get onto my website that way.
Perfect. So let's talk about types. Now, I had a little fun. One of our fabulous listeners called in, and we had a little bit of fun. And she knew how to pronounce, Enneagram, right? Which Benny and I were kind of joking about. And she said, "I think you're a 1." Now, I did not talk to her about the 12 type Enneagram. Yeah. Please, what's your thoughts?
Okay, so first of all, we know that not everybody is the same type of person. It's quite clear that some people, and these are the three divisions of the different types, some people are more thinking types. They tend to work out everything in their heads. Some people are more feeling types. They much more go with how they feel about something. And some people are doing types. Right, so that gives us our 3 divisions. Now, in the 6 types that we talked about before the break, there are, on one side, on the right-hand side of the Enneagram, these are the younger types. These are the personal types. So these are people who, when you tell them something, they will say, well, I think, and you'll get what it means to them. These are the people who experience the world through themselves. Right. So then the people and there is one intellectual type that is personal, one emotional type that's personal, and one of the moving types that's personal. Then on the left-hand side, we have the older types, the non-personal types. These are the people who see things in terms of how it affects the majority, how it affects the world.
Mm.
And again, you have a thinking type, an emotional type, and a moving type. So that's our 6 main types, and now let's put some words to it. So the first one on the right-hand side, the personal type, this is the intuitive thinking type. That is the lunar type that we've already mentioned. That's the perpetually adult child, the childlike adult, innocent, creative, and spontaneous, but can also get paranoid, can get overwhelmed like a child.
Mm-hmm.
So they are the instinctive. And that's the way that it works with children. Children will just come up with something and you'll think, well, yeah, that's right, but how did you get there? The intuitive just does it. It just plucks it up out of the air. Then we drop down to the Venus type. The Venus type is the one-to-one emotional. These are the people, sometimes you go to a party and you can watch somebody networking and it's like they're a fish swimming through past the people, gliding by, saying something nice to one person, something warm to somebody else. These are the Venus types, and that's the emotional, personal type. And then you get the type who, they're very often people like PAs, or they're involved in organizing, precisely because they are the organizers. And they're the Mercury type. The Mercury type is the personal doing type. And they are the people that they're defined as the busy bodies because they like to rush around and find out what's happening in other people's lives and organize other people's lives for them and be very helpful. So those are the 3 on the right-hand side, the personal types. Then on the left-hand side, the non-personal older types, we first of all have the intellectual type, the deep, profound intellectual type, and that's people like Freud or the film director Stanley Kubrick, the choreographer Martha Graham. They have enormous profundity, and you can really get that sense of they're very much rooted in the earth. So they're the intellectual type. And then we drop down to number 5, who is the Mars type. Now, the Mars type, as the name might indicate, is they can be aggressive, they're dynamic, they're the sportsman. They're defined as the sportsman athlete. And a lot of our, they're our adventurers, people who go, hey, well, why shouldn't we do it that way, and go out and do it. Dynamic business people, they're very often Mars types. It's a moving energy. It's a very powerful moving energy. And then we go up to the Jupiter types. Now, the Jupiter types, we love Jupiter types because they are the caring, compassionate, always benevolent father-mother figures. And they are also an emotional type. So on both sides of what we call the divide is an invisible line down the middle of the Enneagram, which separates the personals on the right-hand side, the younger types personals, from the older non-personal types on the left-hand side. So now, Dr. Pat, having heard a little bit about that, can you start to see where you might fit in?
I can see a little bit, and I think where I get a little bit confused is there's more than one that I identify with, right?
Absolutely.
And so
don't forget that we have got all of the different type energies inside us.
Yeah.
So we will, to a certain extent, identify, and we will, for a certain extent, behave like one of those other types. However, our essence type is what we will always come back to. It's like we are caught in the vortex and drawn down into the vortex of our own essence energy. Or, if we're hybrids, we'll do it with 2 different energies. So what I'm thinking is you might be, the listener talked about the lunar type. Well, you certainly have a lovely spontaneous lightness. But I'm also thinking that you must also have the ability to communicate on a very deep level. So I'm wondering, would that make you a lunar type? Maybe not. Maybe it makes you more. Maybe I'm thinking Mercury-Saturn type. You see, that would be a hybrid, and it's a particularly interesting hybrid because it goes from the younger personal types to the older non-personal types.
Wow. It's interesting that you say that. I mean, I spent some time looking at some of the people, and out of all the people that you listed, what I related to, believe it or not, as I was looking at folks, was Ingrid Bergman. And
yes,
I never really figured that out, but I figured, I mean, I think and by the way, I didn't know she was like jolly. I didn't get that. I mean, I had a sense of her. But I didn't really look at Saturn because I don't know why I didn't.
Just in terms of Ingrid Bergman, look on YouTube. When she got her Best Supporting Actress Oscar, she spent the whole of it talking about somebody else who hadn't won.
Yes.
That's very much a Jupiter kind of thing to do.
Okay.
She's not jolly like Father Christmas.
Right.
But she's warmly jolly. She's very, if you watch that film, The Inn of the Sixth Happiness, when she says goodbye to her friends, she's very warm. She's very generous.
Yeah.
And that's the Jupiter type energy.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was relating to about it. You know, this is, and then I went and of course I was reading the book a little bit, and I love kind of the way that you take us on this interesting journey about asking ourselves questions about things. And I noticed on your website, and I'm trying to remember now where it was, you ask several questions.
Yes, there are questions where I'll say something like, do you like, and then give characteristics of what people might like in order to identify them. But let's stay with this idea. I do find that if people, you see, there are connections also between the different types. So the Mercury, which I said, if you are in fact a Jupiter type, that there is a connection. There's a special relationship between Mercury and Jupiter type. Mercuries very often think they're Jupiter types, and Jupiter types very often function like Mercuries. They can be very fast, even though their usual is to be quite slow, the slowest moving. But let's just look at why you might be a Jupiter type.
Okay.
You go. I think I'm a Jupiter type because...
I think I'm a Jupiter type because I can laugh with the best of them, but negativity, there's no room for negativity in my life whatsoever. And hence, I have a positive talk radio show that I've had for 13 years. I mean, I'll talk about everything from sex, spirituality, but it's going to be in a way that helps people get to a place where they want to be in life from a positive solution.
That would certainly be the benevolence of the Jupiter type.
Yeah.
And can I just ask you?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm thinking, is family and friends and gatherings, are they important to you?
No.
Quiet things where you get together with other people?
No, I have one friend, really, a best friend. It's been my friend since 1973. Then I have other friends, and definitely when I think about, Jessica and how I've gotten to know her. And then I have a group of friends, of course, that, when we get together, we go hang out. But I'm not going to be going to the biggest dance in the world. As a matter of fact, when I finish...
The Jupiter type doesn't go to the biggest dance. They tend to do things. They tend to have things like family round on a Sunday.
Yes,
and there's a comfort. They like to be comfortable.
Yes, that is exactly right. There's nothing better growing up, and we didn't do it that often, but there was nothing better in my memories than the family getting together for great Italian food. Half the conversation you can't understand, and just the warmth and quite emotional. I don't know if you probably know it. I mean, quite emotional.
That's sounding Jupiter type.
Okay.
And the other thing is, although your listeners probably won't be able to see what the Enneagram diagram looks like, hopefully they'll be able to find it on the internet. not only do you have your own essence type, but where you go, where you develop in order to fill in the parts that you don't have in your own essence type, is to move towards the next type. So if we talk about the Jupiter type moves towards the lunar type. So that sense that I have of the lightness that you have may very well be that you're a Jupiter type who's fairly well advanced into lunar type, which would give you that spontaneity and that intuitive thinking.
Yeah, definitely something that Linda will tell you. Spontaneity is, how is it put, both a blessing and a curse.
I think the lunar type, the pure lunar type, does struggle because they are living as basically an adult child in an adult world. So they are the childlike adult. And both my parents were lunar types. They were both the childlike adult. And it meant that we grew up in a family which was really different to other families.
How does this help people? Let's talk about the understanding of this, because I'm fascinated by it. And I hope, Matthew, that you'll come back. I know we've got about, 10, 11 minutes left, and there's just so much to understand.
There is. There's loads. We can talk about it in terms of your family, in terms of your children, in terms of your friends, in terms of career. It's all, the Enneagram is so helpful for all these things. So, but you just asked me a question and now I've forgotten what it was.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Yes,
the way I live my life now is very different than the way that I lived my life for the first half of it. And I think for the first half of my life, I wasn't living my life the way that I probably wanted to live it. Right. I was living my life by having a stable job. You know what I'm saying? Get the paycheck, do the stable job. Yeah. And now I live my life from what is it that feels so light and easy to do, and are we doing good things in the world? It's very different.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm just going back to what that caller said when she identified you as a number one. I'm wondering if the caller had in fact been in my teachers group, because obviously there have been something like 400 pupils over the last 40 years. Because when she says you're a number one, she may actually be identifying you as a lunar type.
Yeah, she just finished the class. Yeah, she just finished the class, she was just saying.
In the 12 type Enneagram or the 9 type. But anyway, let me just continue
go ahead, please.
The idea of if you were a lunar type, what you've just expressed is a very lunar type concept of I can't, I don't want to, fortunately I don't have to do a full-time grinding job. From now on I want to do things where I can play. I want to do things where I can be light. That's very much a lunar type thought.
Yeah, that feels about right. But I also love learning things. I mean...
Well, children do.
Yeah.
Children do love learning. And I'm always a bit reluctant to jump in and pin somebody's essence type down, because it's very, very important that we begin from the right place. In fact, when I was in my teacher's group, one night everybody had to stand up and everybody said, who they were. And I stood up and they all said, oh, you're X type. And my teacher said, no, Matthew is Y type. And immediately it all made sense to me. And it made sense to the others. So what you were talking about is what we call operating out of essence type. And the sad truth about life is, in order to make a living, many of us operate outside our true essence type. We have people who are doctors but who actually want to be painters. We have people who just aren't fitting where they know they need to be. And the 12 type Enneagram, once it's better known, will be able to help all those people identify where they need to go in life from their essence type.
Wow. I'm looking at this. How often do people look at some of this and say, Matthew, oh, I think I know what Linda is? Because I'm looking at this and I'm looking at myself and I'm trying to, and now that you talked about it, I am a little stuck between Saturn and Jupiter. When I went back to school, my body of research actually stunned me. I never thought I was that kind of person, that I could dig deeply into something. I mean, I studied the consequences of broken promises for 8 years.
Gosh.
Interesting.
See, that is very much a Saturn type of thing to
exactly.
do. Saturn types love research. They love research. That to them, life is a question.
Yes.
They're always asking why, how. You see?
Yes. And then I think about Linda, and I think of, and I also relate to the lunar type. And I think about Linda, and I was looking at some of these, she's going to kill me, but I think about meticulous, careful, well coordinated.
This is all sounds Mercury to me.
Yeah. And so here I'm thinking to myself, any coordination I have, anything about order I have, I owe to her. Thank you.
That's so interesting because we learn from other people. We learn from other types. In fact, the best kind of person from one's point of view to have a relationship with, is the person who's got the next type, because they are doing things the way that you want to be doing them. But there are all kinds of things. I know somebody who is a Saturn type, who is the deep thinking type, who only has relationships with the Venus type, because the Venus type is a long way from the Saturn type. So the one is the deep thinking intellectual, the other one is the one-to-one emotional. But this person only has relationships with Venus types because he wants to learn how Venus types operate.
Wow.
Which is very clever.
I love this. I mean, I have to ask you this question. I know we only have a few minutes left, but I introduced you as somebody, that works with clients, therapy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. My how it started off really was because obviously I have lots of degrees. I have a master's degree in psychotherapy, etc. Yeah. But I would sometimes say to clients, look, I can't deal with this in terms of client-centered or TA, transactional analysis. I have to say, you need to know about the 12-type Enneagram because it will explain you are a lunar type and she is a Venus type, and that is why you can't communicate. Because you are communicating as a lunar type, she is communicating as a Venus type, and you don't understand each other. But once you know that, then you can go, oh, I know why they're behaving like this. They're behaving like this because they're a Venus type. And I know what to give them in order to make them feel okay. And in the Venus type situation, it's actually that you put your arms around them and you say, darling, I love you. You don't try and argue with them. You say, darling, I love you, and let's have a cuddle. Because what works for Venus types, for example, is one-to-one emotional connection. But if you did that with a Saturn type, they would go, this isn't working for me, I need space. Because what the Saturn type needs, being the deep thinking intellectual type, they need a kind of intellectual space.
Wow, that's interesting. And, I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have said those exact words. I cannot tell you. But it's really interesting because I'm also, a hug goes a long way with me. So it's funny because I have the phone number to call you, right? And so Linda types the phone number in and she said, call this number exactly. and I called the number in exactly. And so, I'm Skyping back and I said, Linda, the number exactly is just not working. And so for me, call the number exactly. So both of us give it over to Jessica to do, because Jessica's going to come in and she's going to say, drop the first three numbers.
That is a brilliant use of the Mercury type, because we can rely on the Mercury types for organization. Yay, the Mercury types.
That's
big
Jessica.
Support.
Oh, my gosh. Matthew, thank you so much for today. I hope you'll come back because I want to make sure we get the whole hour in. And what we'll do is we'll take callers. I'll make sure that John and Linda get this set up. But, yes, it is exactly the way you've talked about it. Please give out your website, and thank you so much for today.
Thank you. And, again, my website is 12 in numbers, 12egram.com. And my name is Matthew Campling, Campling.
I love it. And we're going to have Matthew back, everybody. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with the show.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.